Oh, this is a good day. Nice weather, happy bees, beginning of a flow. This yard is probably not going to swarm. They've been split already. They're set up well, and I'm about to start going through these and seeing where the queen's at and trying to get her in the bottom two boxes. So this is fun stuff. This isn't stressful. It's just not stressful. Once you get the split and super step done, that's like the critical workload in the spring. Because if you fail at that, your bees swarm off and then you don't make anything. So most of my nukes are made already. These are probably not going to swarm. Things are settling down. We can begin the fun part of the season. So when I split this yard, I did drop queen excluders down above the second. And on this hive, I got lucky. The queen is below it. But I did not offset the boxes. I don't know if I forgot to in this yard, or if it was because we had cold weather coming. I know we had a bunch of rain and nasty weather coming. Maybe that was why. All these bees flying around here are drones. They've been stuck up there looking for a way out. They've got a migratory top with a telescopic lid with a notched inner cover. They would be able to get out. Well, this box, I just released them. There's a bunch of drones up there looking for a way out. On this one, the queen was above the excluder. Opened it up, looked in the super, and found eggs. Luckily, I was able to find her, so I'll just drop her down below the super and pull a frame up into that foundation super, because they are not working up there. And they've put in a few cells, so I guess she feels a little compressed in here. So we'll try to get that stopped. I know there'll be a lot of empty comb down here. It's also a red queen. That just happens with older queens. They won't swarm if they can. So that hive's ready for the flow now. Queen is in the bottom two. They've already got a couple supers with a lot of honey in them. They've got a box of foundation. I just pulled up a frame of brood. So they will get up there and start working now. Bees see a box of foundation sometimes as a barrier. They just don't want to move into it unless they've got a really good nectar flow. And sometimes they just swarm instead of moving into it. So you pull up a frame they're working on, that's pretty sure. You pull up two frames they're working on, that's very sure. You pull up a frame of open brood, that's almost 100% that they're going to move in there. So in this hive, the queen was above the excluder. I could not find her. They've got a brood nest on just half of those two boxes. Small colony. They were too small to split. I identified them as one to potentially requeen. And what I did with them, I didn't want to waste any more time looking for that queen. I went through the frame she was likely to be on twice. So I simply reversed the boxes. So those are the two that were above the excluder. Now they're below the excluder. And then I've got two boxes of mostly empty comb above that. They can become honey supers. Of course, those have had brood in them. So they'll be a little darker comb, but I can deal with that. And my plan for this colony is take one of my early nukes that's good and strong. And when I get them queen checked and know I've got one with a good queen, I'm going to come out and pull these two boxes that I know the queen is in and move them, down there somewhere in the same bee yard. And that will depopulate that half of it. I'll set a nuke with a good strong queen in this place. I'll put her in a candy cage, make sure she doesn't get killed. And then this will become a productive unit. Right now it's a non-productive hive. They're not going to make honey. I didn't get any splits from them. So I'm going to take what field force they've got and use it to boost a big nuke. And then I should be able to get some honey from them. And then the queen that goes down here, since she'll be depopulated, she should be easier to find. And then I can dequeen that part of it and merge a nuke in with it. Maybe make another productive unit. So using this spring management method that I'm using, when I come in and make my splits, I shake all the bees down, put an excluder underneath my splits, let the bees come up and repopulate it. I know that I don't have a queen in my split, or it's very unlikely I've got a queen in my split. So then when I'm pulling those splits, there are a percentage of queens that I just find. And when I do that, I'll write Q bar. That's the screen, the queen screen, that's the queen. So I know that she's in the bottom. So maybe, 10 to 25%, I will just find and move them down. And when I pull my split, I will go ahead and move the screen down above that second. And there's another group of queens that will just naturally be below the screen. This one was below. I've had 2 or 3 others that were below the screen. And this means it's just less workload for me. I don't have to go in and shake every hive. I don't have to find every queen. It's sort of a war of attrition. This one I found when I was making the split. This one just happened to be under there. I won the lottery on her. There's been 2 or 3 others I won the lottery on. And then I've got some that are difficult, and I just move the boxes down to the bottom if I can't find her. So thoughts on queen excluders and why I'm using them. I love a queen excluder on a compressed brood nest. I think that is the best use. In my experience, if you put a queen excluder on top of a double deep or on top of 3 mediums, even if you give them a box of drawn comb on top of it, they don't like to move through that excluder and work above it. They just feel like they've got enough space underneath that barrier that they don't have to go up. Now that's my experience. Other people I know have different experiences. I've had really good luck putting a queen excluder above the second medium. Seems like 2 mediums or a single deep, they want to move up above that excluder, and they'll draw a foundation above it. They'll put honey above it. It works really well. And the reason that I'm using this system this year is I winter in 3 mediums. I give them a 4th medium in the spring and let them grow. And then I split them. So I pull a full medium off of them, give them another full medium of comb, or if it's close to the flow, foundation. Get the queen down in the bottom, run them as a double. Hopefully, this will allow me to harvest a higher percentage of my actual honey crop. If I give them 3 mediums, I've got quite a bit of honey in there that I can't harvest. So I'll harvest honey, give them another medium back, so put them back into 3 mediums, but I'll give them 2 1-gallon feeders with 6 frames, 6 foundations. So give them 2 gallons of syrup and 6 foundations in this third. Get them to draw that out, take 1 feeder out, add 2 more frames, get them to draw that out, and then get them heavy, and they're ready for winter. So that's sort of the scheme. I'm trying to sneak 1 more box of drawn foundation on sugar syrup after the honey flow. That's the plan. So this hive's interesting. The queen obviously is below the excluder. They weren't big enough to split, but that's a healthy hive. They'll make honey. So I'm not going to requeen them. But you look at their supers. They've got drawn supers. A lot of drawn comb up here. No bees. They just have not moved up into these for whatever reason. So I'm pulling 4 brood frames out and dropping 4 empty frames downstairs to give the queen room to lay and put that brood in the lowest honey super, and that will draw the bees through the queen excluder, and they will get up here and start working like they should. Don't know why they do this sometimes, but they do. Maybe we're just not on a good enough flow. But these silly bees, when all this brood emerges, they would feel compressed and try to swarm instead of making a honey crop, and they've got 2 drone supers on top of them. Just bees being silly. So this was our monster hive. I pulled 3 splits out of them, 15 frames of brood and 3 frames of food. Left 3 honey supers on, 1 a super of foundation. 2 of them are nearly full. They're drawing out the foundations that were in these 2. They're working a little bit up there. Threw the excluder in above the second. After or when I pulled those splits off, hit the lottery. Queen is down below. Man, I love it when a plan comes together. I think it was Hannibal from the A-Team that used to say that. Easy peasy. Lots of honey. It's one of Corey Stevens' virgins I got 2 years ago. Good looking brood pattern for a queen that age. She's produced very well. So again, I don't know if the queen's above or below, but I just popped the lid. And when the flow is not really on yet, and you see this many bees over on the right hand side of your top box, I would almost bet that the queen is upstairs. Well, this is why there were so many bees over on this side. There's 3 frames of brood. I don't see any eggs though. It's been about 2 weeks since I put the queen excluder in, so maybe she's below and this was open larvae or open eggs. It's just aged and we've got brood in here now. Looks like we got the lottery on this one too. A bunch of open brood down here in the second. She's below the excluder. So this yard, I've got 2 or 3 that I'm fooling around with, requeening, and some that need to be requeened. Other than that, everybody's below the excluder and they're ready to make honey. That's Henrietta, the turkey hen that lives in my dad's yard. She has been known to fly up on his deck and eat out of his bird feeder before. She is wild, but she's not as flighty as most turkey hens. So this is the first nuke I'm going to queen check this year. Try to find the queen marker blue. And I just opened it up. I don't know if you can see that or not, but they've got foundations and they are drawing it out. It's been my experience that if the bees are drawing out their foundations, then they're almost definitely queen right. Couple quick tips on finding queens. If you're finding and marking queens, you really need to be barehanded. I prefer to have the sun at my back, but I can't sit on that one because it's a double. I'll be bent over too much, so I'm sitting on a single over here beside it. And you want to work across. You pull a frame out and you want to look at the frame ahead of you, because if she's on the frame you're holding, she's not going anywhere. But if she's on the frame ahead of you, she'll duck back under because they don't like light. So you've got about 5 to 7 seconds to see her if she's on the next frame. I always take out an empty frame to make some working room. And it's not bad to take, if you've got a feeder like that, take the whole feeder out. That's 2 frame spaces. So that does help. Another thing is you want to use as little smoke as you possibly can. Smoking the bees gets them running around, makes it harder to find queens. Little nukes like this are generally pretty calm, but you want to smoke them as little as you can get by with. First queen of 2025. This one will be earmarked for a customer. Good looking queen. She's doing a good job. It's 16 days, I think, after I set these nukes down, and she's got 2 or 3 frames laid up. It's only been like 15 days since I set these nukes down, which is quicker than I like to queen check. I generally like to give them 21 days at least. It makes it so much easier. You will have some that are going to return queens if you check them at 2 weeks. And they're just not laying. You can't find them if they're not laying. It's just how it is. I have a lot of trouble at 2 weeks, but I think I'm going to have a whole lot more cells available next Tuesday. Today's Wednesday. Next Tuesday I've got to drop splits. I think I'm going to have a whole lot more cells than I have splits. So I'm going through these double nukes I made in my first round and put a blue Q on them if I find and mark the queen. And these are splits. These are splittable. Since that queen in there is marked, I should be able to find her again. I can pull half that colony away, sell the half that she's in as a nuke, and drop another queen cell in the other part of it. So low odds, but I'm just grinding. I know I'm going to have a problem next week, and I'm trying to make it better. I'm also looking for anything on my first round on my singles that I know are emergency queens or are probably queenless. You know, I don't mind next week. I wouldn't mind dropping another cell in one if I think they're queenless. I generally like to give them at least 21 days, but if they're not showing any signs of having a queen by next Tuesday, I would drop a cell in versus toss it. It's April the 17th, and I pulled into this yard. You can see I've got a lot of 2s and 3s in this yard. It was weaker coming out of winter and slower getting going, so that's why I scheduled it for my last round of splits. Don't know what I'm going to get out of here, but I am going to change the way I'm doing my splits. I have been using a frame of food and 4 frames of brood, and I've got cells in 2 builders right now, and grafted 90, and I think both of them are going to have a pretty high take. So I could have 60 or 80 or 85 cells even, depending on how many take. I've got 2 yards to split, and I expect those 2 yards to net maybe 20 to 30 if they're good yards, and these are not my best yards. So I'm going to have more cells than I have splits. So I'm going to start probably doing a frame of food and 2 frames of brood, and these are mediums. So that's a pretty small split. These will be for reserve queens. They might grow into something, but mostly they're for reserve queens. We've got warm enough temperatures now that I feel like I can get away with this. I like to have stronger splits earlier in the season, and of course if I'm going to sell them or try to make honey with them in this season, they need to be bigger. But this time of the season, I want some reserve queens, because I'll have some peter out that I need to replace with and whatnot. May even sell a few queens this year if I have enough. So this hive I've caught just about right. I found a couple of wet cells in the top honey super. They've got walking around drones. They've got a lot of drone brood going in. It looks like they're just about to extend those cups. So they're beginning swarm prep. I've got lots of resources, but I can make a couple splits from them, send them into the flow, and they're gonna make honey. These splits will take the swarm impulse out of them, and they're good to go. I like bees like this. They get big before they swarm. Some others won't swarm when they're still small. These have got to get big before they swarm. I like that. So pulling these splits up above excluders like this, you have to be careful about what age brood you get. For instance, today's Thursday. I'm pulling splits up above an excluder Thursday and Friday, and I'm not due to split until Tuesday. So I'm going to hold this 5 days. Well, this frame you can see has emerging brood right now. It's chewing out right now. And you can see the pattern. You know, the queen starts laying in the center of the frame, works her way out, kind of in a spiral pattern. So the youngest brood is over here, the oldest is in the center. This is all going to be emerged by the time I come to pick this frame. I need younger stuff than this, stuff that's just been capped and has not started to emerge yet. That way it will emerge after I pick the nuke. Now on the other hand, if I were making nukes today, if I were going to drop cells this afternoon, this would be a perfect frame to make a nuke with. This is a perfect frame to boost another hive with, because within a day or two, all this brood is going to emerge and give a boost in population to whatever you put it in. So this frame has its purpose, but the purpose I'm looking for today, that's not what I need. I had a swarm a few days ago that was looking at 2 or 3 different swarm traps. I haven't been by this one, but they have quit looking at my other ones, and looks like it's because they moved into this one. Looks like it's been pretty recent. I'm out scouting for turkeys. I'm walking across this field, and this guy did not run away from me at all. I almost stepped on him. He just got very defensive. Scared me to death. Mr. Black Racer, North American Racer, Collier Constrictor. That's a big one too. Hey there, buddy. I don't know why he didn't just try to get away from me. There he goes. Boy, they're quick.